Okay, hi. Well, there's three things that you need to know right now as you start this video text tutorial. Number one, you need the movies. You need to see all of the movies in this text tutorial in sequence, starting with this, what I'm telling you. And you need to watch very closely. Even though, some of the things you may have picked up in your blueprint, I'm assuming you've done your blueprint. That was what you were assigned first. Your first, the thing you were told to do, number one, was the 3-hour Blueprint for Cure tutorial that starts playing automatically above the link to this text and video tutorial. So now you need all the movies in this after you do the blueprint. Okay, you probably don't need all the text. It'll be obvious what text you're pretty familiar with at the point when you're looking at it. And then of course some of the text. Now let me just see here. Okay, I guess the text is that way, right? Now that would be the table of contents, which is what you're supposed to read first, just to get an idea of what's in here. So look at the table of contents. And you look over there and you see there's something called symptoms that interfere with cure, yes? Well, we didn't cover that in your blueprint, did we? If you go back, mentally to your blueprint, you go, wait a minute, where was that in your blueprint? We didn't cover that, okay? I am making this video text tutorial after I've talked to about 50 people who did your blueprint and picking up the things that I needed to cover with them. So I put them in here. This is just to start, okay? This is, that you need to focus on and look at these things just to start. This is how you start. And you may be a person who's been doing this for a year or two, and you may still need this. So if you're here because I was talking to you and I assigned this to you after knowing you for several years, and you're going, well, okay, now maybe you even see on the table of contents over there why you need this now to do this. Now, I'm also assuming that you are still a member in good standing of the Cure Drive email community, and if you've been around for several years, you may not have noticed that you stopped getting your email a while back. Sometimes people don't notice that, and their email stops coming. And you're also supposed to be following us on Twitter. So, because, you need throughout the day to just keep touching down on this. And I'm talking about if you've been doing this for several years. Because by now, if you have, this is a religion you're practicing. And not just a way of curing the thing you came in to cure, which is probably long gone. Because most things, including cancer and Graves' disease and so on, that people come in to cure, they cure within the first few months. Like you're going to see a woman in here curing Lyme disease. And of course, that's over a long time ago. She cured that. We don't do testimonials. So in case you're wondering, whatever happened to these people? Why don't they write it and say, oh, it's so wonderful, I got my negative medical test. Actually, sometimes they do, but, I don't think very many of us get excited about negative medical tests anymore because we realize that doesn't mean you don't have the disease. It just means the doctor can't find it on the test. That means you have to be triply careful because now, if you ever were in medical treatment, and a lot of the people who come in here never do medical treatment, like a lot of the cancer cures, they went to the hospital and got diagnosed and were tested extensively. Everybody is with cancer. Everybody is tested, medically tested, and diagnosed. But a lot of them opt not to do the medical treatment, which is or at least it's supposedly very awful for them. And as you're going to see a woman in here who's doing a medical treatment for cancer, and she's fine. You know, the medical treatment is not affecting her negatively, obviously, you know, and she's been doing it for weeks. By now, what she was told was that she would be flat on her back with a gray tongue, no appetite, and totally lethargic, can't move, has to be driven to the hospital by the government. She's in England, so she gets everything, you know, all the medical treatment is given. Well, what I'm saying here is that, you know, the government gives these cancer people like Angela the medication, and it's often the medication that kills them. So, and in Angela's case, the medication is not killing her. She is resisting, just not succumbing to all of these horrible, terrible effects of the medication that kills other people, because she's doing this. She has developed a skill, which is what you're trying to develop. And she might have cured her cancer without the medication. It's just that she called me 1 week before she was due to start the medication, and she'd already made the appointment, and that was all written in stone. So that was what her choice was. It wasn't something that she necessarily had to do to cure her cancer. It was something that she sort of actually chose by default, because she found this a long time before and just didn't do it. She's like a lot of people that I see who come in here and they find this. I was talking to a woman the other day who wanted to cure stage fright, believe it or not. And you can do that. You know, that's a disease too, by the way. It's a dysfunction that can be cured. It's curable. And you know, she went trotting off to get going, and she was going to call me back the next day. Never heard from her. I bet I will, though, at some point. She'll be back. They all come back in the end. You know, it's like and the amazing thing is that somebody like Angela, she progressed to stage 3 bone cancer, and then went on the most poisonous, I mean, you can imagine what they give, the kind of medication they give for stage 3 bone and breast cancer. So she went on the most poisonous kind of medication, where the doctor told her, you're going to need transportation to get here. And she's like, you know, bouncing along. She's walking, you know, to the hospital. You know, she's bouncing along through London. So, and that will continue as long as she continues to work hard every day with this, which she finally started doing. See, people don't hear this the first time I say this. You're going to have to do this all day for a while. Maybe, you know, what you might consider a long while. Like if you stop to think about it, somebody with breast and bone cancer, if you told them you're going to have to do 100 push-ups, you know, you're going to have to do something every day for 2 years, they'd be, okay, just let me live, you know, because they've got, you know, 3 months to live, you know, right? So they'd be really happy to do whatever they had to do for 5 years or whatever it'd be, you know. But, you know, when they start doing this, for some reason, they forget that. A lot of people forget that you actually, you know, well, let the disease train you then. Because when you fall on your face, understand that you got to come back and do this harder and more completely. And tweet more. Tell people about it more. You know, write some tweets about what's happening for you. You don't have to just write good tweets about how you know, cured something. You know, you can write an email about how you're not curing it. You know, whatever. How we like hearing from people who take responsibility for themselves. You know, about people who say, I fell on my face yesterday. What we don't like is, how do I cure this? Because the way you cure it is to follow the directions in these lessons, you know, in these tutorials, in all these things that we provided this enormous thing for you. And we really don't like having our time taken by people who aren't using that and then have questions. You need to be using what we've given you And then you're going to have questions anyway. You need to call me, probably. And that's why I give my phone number, because you need to call me. You need to talk to me. I know that. I know you can be doing it all and still need to talk to me. I mean, I've been talking to Angela just about every day. So, and I'm learning as much as she. So anyway, I'm assuming you're twittering about curing your disease, and we can read your tweets, and I'm assuming that you're following us on Twitter. And so you're following the directions, This is all about following the directions. That's how you start. And so if that's the case, you're in the middle of the assignment that you were given in your blueprint for cure. Okay? And you're doing that assignment, and you're going to be doing it while you're doing this text and video tutorial. And of course, it's reassigned here. And you don't need the text part where it reassigns you, but what you do need is the movies, because they are going to deepen and illuminate your experience and your ability, or whatever, your skill. They'll enhance your skill in doing the assignment. The movies about the assignment, there's a whole bunch of them about the assignment. So, by the way, this tutorial is also actually here for people who can't stream media. Like they can't get MP3s. They're in villages, See, and these people who use the text lessons, there was a guy I was talking to, he was an MD I was talking to years ago. I haven't heard from him in, I don't know how long. He walked out of the, Western medical establishment and moved to Costa Rica, to a little village, not even in the village, but on the outskirts of a little village at the base of a volcano in Costa Rica. He had to take the bus 2 hours to get to, to the clinic, where he basically, the clinic didn't pay him anything to work there, but they also didn't care if he had a medical license. And the people would just line up, in the morning, and, they'd get there in the middle of the night and be standing there when he came in. And they did pay him something, I mean, the people who came in. But he said most of it was in chickens and vegetables and things, So he's an example of the people who use the text lessons on this website and who learn from the people here how to cure people, even though he was already a doctor. There are some doctors who still want to learn how to cure people. Medical school didn't knock it completely out of them. And working in these hospitals and clinics for years didn't totally destroy them. They're still a little bit interested in what they can actually do. And he was one of them. He's a really good guy. I used to email him sometimes, and he'd email me when he got into town. He couldn't do anything from the village. And he never had any ability to watch movies. So the text is, or even get an MP3 or something, or I think players were out of the question back then. They were just so expensive. This is just a few years now that all this stuff has become available. And I hope he's got it now, because he'll learn a lot more from the people in the movies than he probably did from the people in the text. Though, we typed transcripts of us talking to people too. You'll see them in the web college, because we always knew how important it was for you to get this from the people who are actually doing it, because it doesn't look like what you imagine. When you see Angela curing her breast and bone cancer, I think the great thing about Angela is that she's in the middle of curing it, and she's not cured yet, and she feels great. And she started feeling great from the minute she did this. And that's the thing that's really important, that while you're on your way to cure, you can instantly feel and be a person who is as though you've already cured it all and live the life of a cured person from the beginning, instantly, right from the very beginning. That's the thing that I've always loved about this. It's the feeling, you know, how I felt, you know, how much I just instantly loved my life when I did this. That's what made me fall in love with this. Okay, remember my friend Jackie? This is thing 3. You know, I was telling you about Jackie in the blueprint. Remember her? Almost everybody I ever ask about Jackie remembers Jackie, so you know, I don't want to insult you by asking you if you remember her, but you know what? A lot of people do not remember why I was telling you about Jackie. Okay, and the reason I was telling you about Jackie in the blueprint is because Jackie got a negative medical test on cancer and then she died. So take that as a cautionary tale. Okay? Do not be after a negative you want to get a negative medical test. But that is not your goal. Your goal is to get this out of your body forever. Not just so the doctor can't find it, but so it actually isn't there. That's what you want, okay? You with me? You know, because 5 years after Jackie's mastectomy, and she was living an athletic and healthy life, you know, hitting the health club 3 times a week. And well, Jackie was the doctor who ran the cancer support groups at Pennsylvania Hospital. And she had buns of steel, and she was beautiful. And she went on TV all the time talking about the cancer support groups. She was a local celebrity in Philadelphia for a while there, you know, because she was always... The cancer support groups were a new thing in the 1970s and 80s. So she was a cutting-edge person who was also one of my volunteer assistants for the entire time I knew her, right up until she died. She was still assisting. What a wonderful person. You know, had I been able to give her what you're getting, Jackie wouldn't have just cured her cancer. She would have cured the earth of everything. That was the kind of person she was. She was a doctor. You know, she was a healer. A person who, you know, understood more than they teach you in medical school or in the hospital. Well, what I'm trying to say here is that Jackie was a doctor in the real sense of the word. And I think that when she was on television talking about the cancer support program, that maybe people didn't see the cancer support program at Penn so much as they saw her and realized from looking at her that there was something there that they wanted. Because she had something that everybody wanted, including me. that life, you know, that she had a real commitment to continuing to discover what it is to actually be a well person. And you know, I was with Jackie a few days before her death, and even in that semi-comatose state, she was still one of the greatest people I have ever known, and a truly well person as she faced her death. And that's really too bad that we didn't know how to do this when Jackie was around. We just didn't know. You know? I bet you're happy you discovered it when you did. And wish you had discovered it earlier. As I do, you know, as I do. So this is for Jackie, you know, this text and video tutorial. Jackie, I know you're watching, and I know you figured out a way to get involved somehow, and that you're part of this. And as I say, you can call me. Let me give you my phone number. Area code 672-3419. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. Welcome to the Cure Drive.